Here's some good language to use when you're discussing opinions. And you can see on the left side of the adjectives, it's all like positive words, and then it's like the opposite on the other side. So when you're talking about like evidence that supports your opinion, you might say it gives an effective argument or has an effective solution to the problem or something. If you're discussing ideas that are different than yours, you might talk about how it is ineffective to do something like this, or you're going to use the negative term for that. So on this side, I guess this is one of the exceptions. On the left side is a negative, which is flawed. You would discuss the other opinions that are different than yours. You would call them flawed, and you would think of yours as correct. Things like that. Complex, simple. Usually we like to, once again, it's kind of on the other side, but the simple solution is usually what we prefer. We don't always prefer complex, but that would be depending on the situation. Convincing, you want to be the one who's convincing. You want your evidence to be convincing. Doubtful is when there's something that's disagreeing with you, or you see an issue with. Relevant, irrelevant. So you got to focus, what is relevant to this argument? Is someone who disagrees with you, are they getting off topic? And when you're choosing evidence to support you, are you choosing evidence that actually supports what you're saying? Thoughtful, superficial. Thoughtful is like the deeper thinking. Superficial is like on the surface. It's not really going very deep in the discussion. Crucial is really an example of important, like it's necessary. And then trivial is similar to superficial. It's just not necessary. We don't need it. And then there's clear and there's confusing. Clear is what you want to be. You want to say your opinions clearly, and confusing would be maybe there's an issue with how something is presented. So the adverbs here, you have perhaps, apparently, presumably, probably, logically, almost certainly, obviously, surely. So a lot of these words have like different strengths on how sure they are. So like perhaps is pretty light. It's not very strong thinking. It's not saying something very strongly. Apparently, however, is a lot stronger, and it's kind of says this is how it is, and you can see it very clearly. That's what apparently means. Presumably is like that one's a little tricky to use, and it's not really as I wouldn't really recommend that one. I think make sure you can do the other ones first. There's probably, I think most of us know that one. Logically is you're going to be working with facts when you talk about logic, so make sure you're focusing on that. Almost certainly is a little bit stronger than perhaps. You're getting a little more strong in what you believe and what you're thinking. Obviously is a lot stronger. It's very similar to apparently. Obviously can be sound a little condescending, so be careful with that one as well. Surely is probably the strongest one that I can see. That's still polite, so I would say try to use it as well if you can. A second. Okay. And the last one here, phrases. You have many experts believe, according to, it seems likely. So the first two is when you're discussing someone else's source and work and research. And then the next few is like, it seems likely, one possibility is, this concept suggests, one interpretation is. So all of those, like those four are kind of, you're taking the information, you've taken the research and the results, and then you're kind of talking about what it means. Like, what does that mean? So that's what those four are kind of doing. And the last one, or in the last couple, we have in our view, which is really, you would say, in my view. This one I don't really recommend using. It's more appropriate for like research papers. But in the last one it says, in most cases. Again, make sure that's true, because most cases is actually a number. It's over 50% when you say the word most. So if that's what you see in the statistics, you can say 60% of people prefer watching violent TV. I don't know, like as an example. In most cases, people watch violent TV. That's not true. I'm just giving that as an example, just letting you know.